Here with Cynthia Soto at the Cynthia Soto. You could follow her on Instagram. And this girl, I've known her for, is it 10 years or so?
Yeah, we're probably going on 11 years now.
Yeah, we started in the mortgage business together. Well, I started before that, and I'm sure you started before that, but then we ended up meeting in a company back then. And Tell us a little bit about you and how you got started in the business. Was that your first job, your second job? And why did you get into the mortgage business?
Actually, it wasn't my first, second, or third job. At the time that I was, actually at that time, I want to say I had 3 jobs. Mm-hmm. And none of them paid what a full-time job pays. But I was young, I was going to college. So I had to, work shifts and work at places that kind of helped work around my schedule. So when I first got started in the mortgage business, I was actually at LA Fitness. I had worked at LA Fitness when I was in high school because my brother was a trainer. Mm-hmm. So I would do telemarketing calls for them.
Oh, okay.
So when you join the gym, you get a phone call like, hey, we want to introduce you to some of the trainers, how to use the machines. It's a free trial. And then you meet up with the trainer and they try to sign you up for sessions.
Which LA Fitness was this?
That was me.
Which one was it? What city?
Surprisingly enough, Cerritos. Because I'm still in Cerritos.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I remember like a girl that kind of looked like you that would call me from LA Fitness, but I'm sure it wasn't.
It could have been me. I was very persistent. Very persistent. So at the time, I was working at Home Depot. I was doing telemarketing Saturday mornings, and Friday nights I would work at the gym, and I was doing telemarketing calls. I only got paid by commission, so being on the phone was very important. So one of the gentlemen came up and he's like, hey, I see that you're working hard, you're making phone calls, and nobody's really monitoring you. You're just kind of going at it. I'm like, I turn around, I'm like, yeah, thank you. I'm kind of busy. Like, I got to make these calls kind of go away. And he's like, you know what, I really like your work ethic. Here's my business card. Look me up. I'm legit. Let's talk. Well, I was 18 at the time. I was about to turn 19, I believe. And I didn't know what a mortgage was. I get this gentleman's business card, and of course I'm scared out of my mind. So I kind of looked into him, what a mortgage was, and kind of did some background check, and I started working with him. I started as an assistant, and...
This was what year? How old were you?
I was 18. I want to say I was 18, because I remember I pretty much did it all except loans. I answered the phones, I ordered verifications, I greeted guests. You needed a paper signed, you forgot it. I was a mobile, everything, just get signatures. I pretty much did everything except clean the floors. And if they would have asked me to, I probably would have done it.
Yeah.
Because that was me learning and getting my feet started, not knowing, where that was going. But fast forward, after that, I was able to meet up with actually one of the loan officers. He's passed away now, but he became he was my first mentor, and he did a great job in helping me grow, understand what the mortgage business was. And from there, just having him, now he was a great mentor, and he was an older gentleman, and he realized being a young girl, he's like, you know what, there's certain things I can't help you with, I can't teach you. So he recommended I get a female mentor. So I've always, kind of like you, where you have your mentors and you pay, to have them mentor you. I kind of did the same thing, but with local people that I looked up to and admired in the business at that point.
Yeah.
So working with those mentors and having them help empower me. And one thing is taking direction from someone, and the other thing is actually applying it. So they liked my persistence. I'd ask tons of questions like, can I go with you on your appointment? Can I shadow you? How do you say this? How do I say that? What would your reaction be? So just kind of growing and doing that. That's how I became licensed.
Yeah. And this mentor, I think I met him, right?
Yeah, you did.
I met him, yeah. And
he's a great man.
And I know that loans can get a bit stressful and
yeah.
Like, how do you deal with stress, and what has made you be so on top of your deals? Because I know you close a lot of deals. You're one of our top girls, and you don't. I never seen you really that stressed out.
Well, thank you. I try to control it now, especially now having more experience. But something that's been big and that helps me a lot with that is actually taking communication courses, helping other people in communication. So what I mean by that is, always keep learning. Kind of like you have your mentors, I have my mentors. I do weekly meetings with them. I take communication courses and things to show me how to have an outlet. Because really getting frustrated on loans or having a hard time on loans is really just a lack of communication, not knowing who to ask, where to ask, or where to get the information.
Yeah.
So it really just comes down to working on the communication and being able to receive it, give it out, and brainstorm. We're really brainstorming a lot of the time, and we are problem solvers. Right. Definitely.
Now, Cynthia, before you got into the mortgage business, how was your childhood like? Did you grow up in locally? Did you grow up with rich parents? Were you middle class? How was your childhood?
Well, I like to consider us middle class. Actually, I grew up in Southgate.
Latinos, right?
Yeah.
You're Latina? Mexican?
Mexican. We grew up in Southgate until I was 13.
Yeah.
And from there, we moved to Cerritos. So that transition alone when I was 13 was huge because I'm coming from a different part of town where we were like Nike Cortezes and we were different brands. I get to Cerritos and I'm looking at Harley, Quicksilver, Roxy, and I'm thinking, what's a Roxy? It was a really hard transition. Some of the students were great, and some were really, really mean. I remember crying in the art closet every second period because I would get bullied because I looked different. I was different. I didn't dress a certain way. I didn't look a certain way. I didn't speak a certain way. So adapting was very challenging.
Was it like an accent, or were you like, was it a more of a white school type of thing?
I was definitely a minority when I went to school. I want to say it probably was a little bit of an accent, or also
Spanish was your first language?
Spanish is my first language.
Oh, okay.
So I want to say probably was a little bit of accent, and also probably lack of a vocabulary. They had different vocabulary. They used different words and slang that I wasn't accustomed to. So it was very challenging growing up. And I also was in we were foster parents. So we were the home where foster children would come. So we would take them in, kind of help them, do things like that. And it was a transition home as well. So that was very challenging as well, having people come in and come out of your home, working with different situations, being exposed to a lot of different, I just want to say situations, but being exposed to different ways people treat their kids, raise their kids, and how they treat themselves. So I saw a little bit of everything, babies that are born, with certain issues and withdrawals and things like that. And I worked a lot with handicapped children. So that's where my career choice was to be a handicapped teacher. I wanted to work in elementary school and work with special ed children. And secretly, that's still something that I would like to do. I feel like I have an understanding or a special patience for something like that because I grew up in that.
Do you think that was kind of one of the biggest reasons that it made you who you are today, like the nice-hearted woman that you are?
Probably not even thinking about it. But being nurturing and looking out for others. But what it also helps me, and not even thinking about it at that time, is I had helped my mom quite a bit. Yeah. My mom was a businesswoman. She was running a household and everything. So I also had to help, cook dinners, put kids to bed, things, help my mom, things of that sort. So I didn't realize at that moment, but, in retrospect, looking back, I've been trained to wear lots of hats and deal with pressure on a daily and be able to juggle different personalities and still get the job executed. So it kind of helped in a sense. But again, not even knowing that was something that was helping me in the future.
So you graduated from high school. Did you graduate from college?
You know what? I went to college and I did not finish college. The calling for loans was a little stronger.
So you get into loans, and then you're an assistant. You learn, and then you go full on loans at a moment where the market's kind of changing. Is that when you started?
The market crashed.
That's when you just started, full loans.
That's when I was started. When I first started, everybody was making great money. They're spending it. They're doing all these things. And as soon as I get licensed, it stops. The market crashes. they had to lay me off because there's no money to pay. Things are changing. People are downsizing. You know, all of that was going on. So I really didn't have much options. I kind of went full force in the loans. So I stuck with it. I was licensed. I said, okay. They get, you know, my mentor at the time, he was a super generous man, gave me a severance package, allowed me for 30 days, like, go out and get business, see what you can do. You know, he didn't want to leave me in a bad situation either. So at that time is when I was actually forced to take on the real estate and the loans. I was really forced to do it because I really had no choice. So I took it on, and at first, actually, I thought I wanted to do real estate. Very quickly did I learn I cannot read a Thomas map, and this is back, well, I'm going to age myself, but this is back when MapQuest was huge.
Yeah.
You make a wrong turn, I don't know where you're at. There's no recalculate button. So that wasn't really for me. It was like a 2-week adventure, and I really stuck on the loan side.
You also don't look like the girl that wants to carry signs and get all sweaty.
That was huge. I didn't realize exactly, like, it looks easy. Yeah, I'll just put up a sign. But yeah, that does kind of take away all the hard work that we do.
Because it's funny, I got into the loan business industry when the market just crashed. Also, like, I got into it and I did 1.5 years that I did really good and the market was good. But then after 1.5 years, it crashes. I lose everything. But when I got into the business before, I tried real estate first, but I didn't like it because you have to carry signs, get all sweaty, you get all sweaty, ugly, and then you it's almost like you're drenched, and then you have to go pick them up after.
Yeah.
And then you work hard, and then you send all the loans to someone, and they're just sitting down with the AC on and qualifying people. So I said, you know what, that sounds a lot more cooler.
that sounds up my alley,
you get to dress nice, have the AC, and all you got to do is call realtors. So it's so easy for a lender to just pick up the phone and call realtors, visit open houses, but most of them don't do it. But that was my reason why I transitioned over to the loan side. But yeah, was that, I'm sure that's the same reason you kind of mentioned.
I don't think I was smart enough to put all that together. I just knew I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. I just didn't like the driving around looking at, like, honestly, after you look at 2-3 houses, they all kind of look alike.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't for me. I was really tied to the numbers, the investment part of it, how the taxes work. Like, I've always been intrigued in that, how money works and taxes. So that was more my calling. I like the number side of it.
So talk about your starting the mortgage business when you're full on, your license, and then, like, how bad did it get? Did you struggle a lot? Really bad, or was it kind of like?
No, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. No, actually,
because you have a great story. You told me a little bit about it, but I wanted to save it for you just to spill out the beans. Like, how bad did it get, and how did you overcome to become so successful? Because now you are a millionaire. I always tell you that, and you kind of smile. But now you're a millionaire. And what I mean by that is she owns properties and she has millions. She has over $1 million of equity and multi-units. But we'll get into that. But how did you get to where you are now, and how bad was it? Because everybody looks at the successful people now.
They
but
see
how
that,
was it?
but they don't. Yeah, they don't see.
Because you might give hope to somebody that's in the business, and they might be kind of like, it's time to call it quits. But you didn't quit.
No, definitely do not quit. So in regards to that. It's actually pretty embarrassing. I had a 94 Mustang at the time, so it's a little bit of a gas guzzler, but it was paid off, so that's the car I had. And I remember that day vividly. I remember I went into the garage and I grabbed a sweatshirt. I wrapped my piggy bank that I've had for like years. I wrapped it around in the sweatshirt. I grabbed one of my dad's hammers and I hit it. And my mom comes in. Like, of course she would walk in, right? So she comes in, she's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't have any gas money and I need to get to work." I was like, this is the last of my savings. And she didn't really say anything. She just kind of smirked and kind of, let me be on my way. And I broke the piggy bank. I took my money. I was able to get gas for the week and went to work. That same week, I'm already feeling down in the dumps. I'm down to my last, honestly, it was probably like $60, right? And I get to work. My charger's not working. The charger for the phone doesn't work. I'm trying to make cold calls. I'm trying to do my thing. And it's not working. It breaks. So at this point, I'm thinking, this is a sign. I need to stop. It's not working out for me. This is a sign. So I start crying at my desk. I'm kind of down. And one of my mentors comes by at the time. And he sees me. And he's like, what's going on? And, you know, I'm a little bit of emotional wreck at that time. So I'm like, you know what? My charger broke. I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to get a job. Like, I couldn't do it anymore. Yeah. So he's like, okay, hold on. He goes, he gets a charger. He plugs in my phone. He's like, come outside. Let's talk. And he's like, you know what? This is great for you. This is great. I'm glad that you're at this point. I'm glad this is, and I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Like, you're glad this is happening to me? Like, that's horrible. And he's like, no. He's like, because now you're going through a breakdown. And every great breakdown, there's a breakthrough. So this is your opportunity to turn it around. The next day, he's like, just come to work tomorrow. I'm going to help you. Don't worry about it. You know, it's going to work out. So the next day I had faith. And I figured, okay, I have nothing to lose at this point, and I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I get up.
How was your credit right now, and your savings, and
well, I have,
like,
you have
what was your account?
Savings?
Was your
account? I broke the piggy bank for $64.
So your account was probably negative?
There is no bank account.
You didn't have a bank account?
There's no bank account. Actually, I had a bank account, and I owed them $21, so that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Withdrawal fees, or you know.
Yeah.
With transaction overdrafts. So no, there was no bank account.
So what happens then?
Credit score is probably like in the 5s because Victoria's Secret and Target thought it was a great idea to give a 19-year-old a credit card. And of course, I wasn't very responsible with it.
Yeah.
So I got everything I needed for a minute, short period of time. But no, credit's horrible. So the next day I show up to work and he had a notebook with a little pen, and he brought me one of his chargers. He's like, I had an extra charger at home. You can have it. This is a notepad. Start writing everything down. Gave me a couple pointers on what to do.
Yeah.
And it gave me the faith. It gave me the confidence to keep moving forward. And within the 30 days, I literally had my first deal. I had my first refi. It was a blessing. I was all about it. And that was the first momentum to help me, like, okay, this is what I need to do. Keep moving forward, because pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah.
So that was the turning point in my career, and it really was where I thought would be my last day of work. But luckily, I have such great, like you always say, environment's everything. I was in the right environment. I had the right mentor, somebody that actually cared in my well-being, and just helped me keep pushing forward, to believe in myself, to know that I can do it. And if they didn't do that, I don't know where I've been. They allowed me to shadow them, allowed me to go on appointments and speak to that. Now, this same person, it's actually a couple. It's a team, and they work with us to this day.
You could mention them.
Okay, well, Kim and JR.
Yeah.
Kim and JR have been a huge part of my success. And I remember the market's changing, things were changing. She'd be like, you know what? This is what we're doing now. This is what's look at this for your client, see how you can help. She would always keep me on the cutting edge, and I truly appreciate that, because nobody else is willing to do that for me. So when doing that, I was able to build the momentum. And actually, I always knew from the conversations in the office, get a rental property before your primary. Like, you know, don't be ghetto fabulous. Don't go for the big house. Don't do this. Like, get your ducks in a row. They're like, do this. Make sure you travel. Like, so I was being versed from a young age.
Before you get into this really quick, this made a simple, I think you'll say the story, but I think it was a 2-unit or a 3-unit property, and then you got more, and it made you $1 million. I did the same thing with a FHA 3-unit property, and then I got more, and that made me a lot of money too. So people don't understand how easy it is, but that saved my life when I needed money. But but please continue with, because I know you have a great story with that.
It did. And actually, I didn't even buy these willingly.
Yeah.
I bitched and moaned, cried and screamed, and they convinced me, like, no, Cynthia, this is what you need to do. This is how we prepare for the future. This is because we were huge in building for life, being financially secure. That was a big thing. We wanted to be financially secure. So with the leap of faith and confidence, knowing that they're telling me the right thing to do, I did it. I bought the property, and I bought it with a 203K. The 203K is a great
Explain
program.
it for people that don't have an idea how a mortgage works.
It's a great program, but you have to have the stomach. I had been in the industry, I think at that point, maybe over 10 years, 12 years. And I cried every day, I promise you, for 3 months. My husband can testify to that. A 203K loan is a loan that you buy a house that's a fixer-upper. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much destroyed. The only other person that can probably buy would be an investor. But I didn't have big bucks like that. So we took a government loan, which is an FHA loan, and we put a 203K on top of that. So what that allowed me was the bank was going to give me $35,000 for me to fix the roof, to fix the floors, the holes in the windows, the water heaters, everything that needed fixing. So with that loan, I was able to buy this property that was a fixer-upper that I would not have been able to afford any other way. I bought it with FHA 3.5% financing, which literally we started, I think it was $15,000 at the time. And that was everything I had that I had been saving for from starting doing loans for many years. So I took the leap, bought the property, 203K. It took 3 months. We fixed it up. I got the tenant in the front, and I lived in the back for about a year and a half. I did everything as I was told.
Was this the area of your dreams or not?
No, not at all.
So you had to kind of deal with it in order for the pay later.
And it's so funny you say that, because when my family came over, I was so proud. So I invited my parents, my brother, my family, everybody, like, hey, come and look what I bought. I'm going to be living here. This is my first property. They came in with that face like, what are you doing? Are you sure this is right? Like, they're like, why didn't you buy something prettier? Why didn't you buy something nicer? Like, I'm not really sure about the area. I got all kinds of commentary. But I told them, don't worry about it. Like, I know what I'm doing. I have a game plan. I'm only going to be here 2 years max. That was the game plan.
And you were trusting your mentors, what they told you to do?
Yeah, 100%. Because I've seen them do it. They've had proven results that they know what they're doing. So I didn't question it. I knew that I was on the right track. So I lived in there for 2.5 years. Best investment that I could have ever had. After that, bought that property. I was able to take out a little bit of the money, still kept it financed, had a little bit of the money taken out, and went and bought a second property.
So you cashed out refi?
Yeah, cashed out refi.
And then you bought another property.
Bought another property. Bought that property, lived in there for about 5 years. In the time, now the beauty was the units were paying for themselves, and they were giving me money to live in the new house. It was a nicer area. It was my first house for me and my family. So it allowed us to do that. So because the monthly mortgage was so low, because again, the units are helping me offset the payment, my husband and I were able to save enough money where we found an opportunity for a flip. It literally landed in my lap. So we did that. We did the flip, got a little bit of money, and we had been saving at the time. Took a little bit from the equity of the house, went and bought 4 units. And it's been great. Those units pay for themselves and allow me to have a little bit more. So I've bought and sold a couple different properties, but the units, I don't let go of those. The units are pretty much the gems.
So your first property was 2 units?
2 units.
And you bought it for how much?
I don't think I want to say. I got them for, I want to say, $330.
And
2 units for $330.
More or less, how much are they worth now?
Gosh, I want to say they're worth, let's be conservative and say $650.
Wow. And
ask me what I owe on those units.
How much do you owe on them?
About $100,000. So there's plenty of room for me to grow and have different opportunities. I want to keep playing. I want to keep growing.
So this is something that I think everybody that's watching this, they need to hear this, and
it's literally that easy. Start with 2 units. Like you always say, if you're not married and you guys are a couple or together, you buy 2, he buy 2, and build that ladder. I truly believe that.
I don't think, I know the biggest problem and misconception is that people think you have to buy 100 units or 80 units and you need to be a millionaire to put $1 million down payment, and it's not like that. You could buy a 2-unit property and create $1 million. And how long did it take you to do that?
All of that came in within 5 years.
Within 5 years.
5 years. The first one is the hardest. I promise you. The first one's the hardest. Your nerves are a little in shock. Your stomach is, butterflies in your stomach. You're nervous. You don't know what's going on. But after that first move, buying that first property, it does become easier. The second, the third, they are easier. The first one is the hardest because we're not prepared. We don't know exactly what's going to expect. What do we need to be prepared? Kind of things like that. But after the first one, it literally helps you build your portfolio. Yeah. And owning property here is one of the safest, quickest way to accumulate wealth. Yeah. It really is.
And besides all of you watching this, she's like, I mean, the really, really tight race, but people that don't have a team, you're either number 1 or number 2 in the company of the women.
Really? Oh, thank you.
People that don't have a team.
You.
And you just joined the company
recently.
And we
want to change that.
And I mean, it's like, we'll get into those details later, but I want you to share later about the company stuff. But when you get clients, like people that are watching this that might want to get a 2-unit property or a 3-unit and they don't have too much money and there's programs that could help them, do you also coach your clients and advise them on how to do it just the way you did it?
Most definitely. Now, it's different for everyone. Some people a little more conservative. They're in different places in their lives where they may or may not be able to take that risk. But we definitely share with them all the options that are available, especially people that have had their property for a long time. You show them what those numbers look like. You can grow that equity. And like the goal is to have the properties and the investments pay for themselves. So that way you don't have to worry about the overhead. The day you don't go to work, the day you get sick, you don't have to worry about it.
Is that why you bought a multi-unit before you bought a house?
Yes. I always knew I wanted that residual income. Like I didn't come for money. I figured, how am I going to build? I always, followed all the self-motivation, all the mentors and everybody that share their stories, and I always saw that they had that in common. Yeah. They're all real estate investors and they all started with something, so I knew that was something that I wanted to do and that would be where I can start. Yeah. Because other than that, I really didn't know what to do. I would have just quit and gotten a part-time job like everyone else, but they didn't allow me to quit, and I'm super grateful that they did not allow me to quit. And not to mention some of the challenges that I also encountered was I didn't look a certain way. I didn't come off a certain way. I speak different. I'm a very loud person. I speak a lot. So some of the brokers didn't think that I fit the mold of what they thought success looked like, or I was, because of my nationality or the color of my skin or whatever their, story might have been. But some of the times they didn't believe in me that I could. So luckily, my mentor stood up for me. It's like, just because she doesn't come off to you the way you feel success should be packaged, doesn't mean that she doesn't have an audience or that she doesn't have, a way to be successful. And that gave me more motivation. So regardless, where you are in life, down on your dumps, down to your last dollar, if this is something you're truly passionate about, it will work. You have to just keep at it, and listen to other people that are in the position that you want to be in. Yeah.
Well, first off, the quitting thing, you not quitting, I think it's that all that credit, I give it to you because you're the one that makes the final decision. Like, I made the final decision. Everyone makes the final decision of quitting. Like, everybody could tell you, don't quit, but then people quit. That was 100% your decision to not quit. But now, you guys are listening to a millionaire here that knows real estate, and I think that's the most important thing, because if I'm going to hire a real estate agent or I want to have a mortgage professional help me, I want somebody that has invested and been successful at it to guide me. I don't want to listen to a person that has never bought multi-units, that has never bought a house. I want to listen to somebody and take advice from somebody that has done it. And
know what to expect. Know what to expect, how to be prepared for, how to use leverage correctly. All of those things are very important. Yeah. Now, talk about when you got into the business and you started becoming very successful at your company where you worked at, and then the stereotype that you have to be a mortgage professional a certain way, and then you saw me online or on Instagram. Things started changing real quick, huh?
and then at one point you were kind of laughing or somebody made a joke about me.
It brought up some controversy.
And then people, I mean, I get it all the time, but people made fun of me when I got the Ferrari, and I always heard, don't get a nice car, because if you go visit clients and you have a nice car, they're going to think you're charging a lot. Yeah. If you have a nice watch, people are going to think you're ripping them off. So everybody said, like, you got to do it a certain way, like the old school way. And I'm like, well, marketing is here. Social media is here.
Yeah.
But how hard was it for you to, like, kind of change and adapt to the new era?
It was terrifying.
But talk about first, like,
terrifying.
like when you made fun of me, like, how did that happen? I
Oh,
want to
that
hear the
was
story because I
awesome.
don't know the story.
So we're at work, and, I would work really long nights until 10, 11
Yeah.
o'clock at night. So one night we're there, and it was your assistant at the time.
Yeah.
We would work long nights, and we were there, and, I guess she took a moment to go on Facebook, because that's when Facebook was big. There was
Yeah.
no Instagram yet.
Yeah.
It was all Facebook. So we're going through she's going through Facebook. She's like, oh my God, Cynthia, look at this. And I'm like, what? So I peek over the cubicle, and it's a picture of you flexing. No shirt, nothing, just flexing. I was like, oh my God. So we're like, this guy. And we started talking like, oh my God, que van a decir the clients when they see you? What are the clients going to think? Or, how unprofessional is that? So we were just like, wow, like, he's pretty bold guy to, put something like that out there. We didn't realize you were ahead of your time. You knew exactly what you were doing. So that was a little controversy. It was kind of funny at the office because you were the first one to be bold and be out there. I don't even think I had a Facebook account at the time. So, yeah, that was different. You were the only one in the company that was promoting and doing Facebook and putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And we thought you were crazy.
Quite honestly, I was just going along with Facebook. I was just staying active and doing things, but I had no idea what I was doing. That happened later when I saw Ty Lopez with his Lamborghini video. And then I said to myself, well, if that works for him to sell sales products and marketing products, why don't I just do it with real estate? I mean, I'm not doing that well. I mean, it's not going to hurt me. So let me just try it.
Yeah.
And that's when they told me, don't buy a nice car and a nice watch because clients are going to, like, hide it. I remember they used to tell me, leave your watch inside the car when you go outside and see your clients. And I just did the opposite. And I went in there, and then the clients it gave me credibility because clients reacted the opposite way. They were like, wow, because we were pretty young at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still young, but we were a lot younger. And they my biggest problem was they used to think I was like a little kid. And they're like, why are we going to listen to this 25-year-old or 20 giving me advice on buying a home and investing and all this? So when they saw me with a nice car, they were like, whoa, this guy should know what he's doing because he has a nice car. So instead of criticizing me or saying he's going to charge me a lot, it gave me credibility.
Yeah.
And then it also gave me credibility with the realtors because now realtors wanted to work with me because they figured I was successful and smart because I had a nice car. But how was your transition when you were kind of old school? Would you call yourself a little old school back then?
What do you mean back then? Like 2 years ago?
I mean, not even that long. Maybe like 8 months ago or a year ago.
Honestly, it probably has been 8
because
months.
now you're on Instagram, you're doing
know.
lives, you're doing interviews, podcasts, you're all over the place.
It's been a total transition, totally different way of approaching business, totally different way of reaching out and sharing, with clients. But it's been fun. I think the transition has been that I'm able to reach a lot more audience at once.
Yeah.
And I do very well when I do speak. People are receptive to what I'm saying, or they feel like, okay, you know what, it looks like she might. I've actually gotten a phone call from Instagram saying, I loved your live. I love what you're talking about. That's exactly what I want to do. And I think you're the person to help me. They've been trying to do a loan for a year. I don't know what the issue's been, but we were able to get her going within 30 days and get them a loan just by, doing everything that we need to do up front. So the transition has been huge. When, going to a couple Christmas parties, and it's different. The realtors do recognize Driven. They do recognize us as a company, and they're a little more open to doing business with us, almost want to gravitate to it because of the reputation. So it's been a great transition. I love it. A little different as far as constantly being out there, sharing a little bit more. But I think in the sharing is where people see our true selves, and they see themselves in us and see that it is possible. We're regular people. We're doing it. We're just determined and have that drive that no is never a no. No is a maybe. I gotta ask you differently.
Well, talking about drive, you said it. What drives you?
Honestly, what drives me is I want to be financially secure. I don't like worrying about money. I knew growing up, it was always, well, hey, we want to go here. Let's go to the zoo or whatever. Well, you know how much it's going to cost to get there, and this and the gas. Oh my God, you know, the cost of gas. Like everything was always monitored in money. Everything was an issue. Like, oh, well, we can't go there because we can't afford it. And not that, you know, my family, you know, we were pretty well, we're middle class, but sometimes it was, well, we can't afford to go, or the gas money to get there. So gas money really bothers me. To this day, I don't like to worry about that. So my goal was always try to be financially secure where I don't have to worry about gas money.
Well, if you ever need a charger, I got a charger, so I'll back you up on that.
Thank you. And, you know, I probably will need one day. But I want to be financially secure. I want to be in a position where I can help my family and give back to others and put myself in a position where, heaven forbid, something were to happen and I need to take time off work, I can. Well, for example, I was able to take almost a month off in June when I got married. Got married in Thailand, had a great wedding, and from there had my honeymoon in Japan. And if I wouldn't have invested in real estate, started and put all of the foundation where I wouldn't have had that opportunity. I would have never been able to go to Thailand, get married, and honeymoon in Japan. That wasn't in the cards for me growing up.
So would you say your biggest accomplishment, or your biggest asset, the biggest win you've had in your life, financially or work in the work way, in an investment way, has been getting that little 2-unit property?
Yes.
Imagine if you wouldn't have gotten that 2-unit.
I really don't know what my life would look like.
Yeah.
I don't even want to imagine what that would look like. No, I think that was the best move I did. And like I said, I didn't even do it willingly. I knew that was the move to make, but I'm thinking that's all the money I have. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I still have to fix it. Like, all of those concerns are real. They all came up. It's something that was in my space, and I had to just trust that this is the right thing to do.
Now, question for you, because you're really smart and knowledgeable, and you've done it, investing in real estate. Would you, like, let's say if somebody has $20,000, would you advise them to invest on their own and use those $20,000 and buy their own 4-unit or 3-unit, or would you advise them to give it to somebody else so that they could invest them and pay them a percentage, being the passive investor?
In my book, ideally, you want to do it by yourself. You want to be able to take that on, do it by yourself. But if that's not an option at the point, then maybe be a passive investor and build to the point where you can take on your own items. It's okay to have partners and do it in partnership, definitely. But I believe it would be stronger if you can do it on your own, because then you don't have to worry about, well, what happens with the day that he needs to cash out, or heaven forbid he has an emergency, or like you're not 100% in control at that point. You have to run things by your partner. So that's a great way to get started, but ideally you want to be your own person.
So if people think it's hard, if they want to not only get pre-approved, can you help them with that, but also help them and guide them on how to, what's a good investment, what's a good 2-unit, what's a good 3-unit, just in case people might qualify, but they're not sure what's a good deal? Can you help them with that too, and kind of advise them?
Yeah, definitely. We help people with game plans. Like, I have someone that has a 580 FICO score, but they're determined, they want to do it, and we've laid out a game plan for them. Now it's on to them to do the work. So we can definitely guide people in that sense, and we always want to run the numbers. Numbers don't lie. My opinion could be my opinion, but numbers do not lie. So we do run the numbers. We look at it. Okay, this is a good investment. This is how much it would be paying you, and we do kind of guide them and show them what it is to own a property, to get an idea of what that payment's going to be.
Awesome. So you guys heard it. Like, you're listening to a millionaire that invested with 2 units, then refinanced, cashed out, bought another one, and then bought 4 units. And she knows how to do it. She has the blueprint, and she wants to help you guys.
We want to share the blueprints.
Before you tell people where they can follow you for more information, and they could also send you a DM, your handle's right there, and it's going to be below on the podcast. But any final messages you want to tell people about yourself, or any special story you have?
Well, I like to think I'm not too special. So,
well, that makes you special.
Well, thank you. You know what? I would say the advice that I can give would be never give up. Keep keep trying. Even if you're down on your dumps, it's your last dollar. But if you truly believe, align yourself with people that are going to motivate you, that are going to encourage and empower you. Someone that's going to give you that charger when you're down in your dumps, thinking, I need to go get a part-time job. That's what we want. We want to help those people that feel that they have no options and show them in reality you do. And it's not, like you said, life's not complicated, but we make it complicated. There are blueprints. There are people that are doing it, that are living it. So we should learn from them and try to listen more than what we speak, in the sense of asking questions, learning, and applying that. Because one thing is somebody come and be like, oh, Albert, how do you do what you do? Tell me, and taking notes and writing it down, and then do nothing with it. It's a waste of your time. But if somebody's actually there following you, doing everything that you say, you want to help them more.
Yeah.
So make sure you align yourself in a great environment, have the right mentors, have the right people that know what they're doing to help you with that pathway.
Awesome, Cynthia. This is one of my favorites podcasts that I have done. You know why? Because I really love the fact that you are an investor. You did it with a 2-unit property. Like you didn't have any money, and you're showing everybody, no matter if you're broke and have bad credit and collections, there's ways and tips and tricks that you can get and fix your credit and buy a 2-unit property and make $1 million out of that. So I'm really inspired by your story. And where can people follow you? What's your favorite platform?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram at the Cynthia Soto.
And guys, send me a DM, send her DMs. And thank you for having, being part of this podcast.
Having me. Thank you. Anything I can help, any questions, please send me a DM. I'd love to help you get your game plan started.